Hey guys, Chris Fix here. Today I'm going to show you how to clean a mass airflow sensor. That's located right here in my truck. I'll go into more information about that. So the reason why I have the tablet out is because I'm going to be using my OBDII scanner to see how much air is moving across the mass airflow sensor. And I'll get into more about that, but first let me explain what a mass airflow sensor is, what it does, where it's located, and what some symptoms of a dirty sensor are. So the mass airflow sensor is located on your intake, and the reason why is because when that air is sucked up, the computer wants to know how much air is getting sucked in so it could put the correct amount of fuel so you have a good air to fuel ratio. So this combined with the oxygen sensor will give the ECU enough information to give a really accurate air fuel ratio. If the sensor gets dirty over time, it might not read how much air is flowing through accurately, so it could be adding too much or too little fuel. On an engine, what you're going to be looking for to find your mass airflow sensor is this long tube that goes to your air box. Under here is my air filter. On my 2001 Mazda B3000 Ford Ranger, you don't even need to use tools to get the air box open. You just lift these two tabs up and pull that out like that, and then you get to the air filter. You can see here's where the air gets pulled in, and there's the mass airflow sensor. And you can see in the mass airflow sensor, there are a couple of what is called hot wires. And these are super delicate, and when they get dirty, they give you inaccurate readings. And what it does is it measures conductivity and how that relates to the airflow. But what's important to you is that gets dirty, and that's what needs to get cleaned. Now a dirty or bad mass airflow sensor is one of the top problems that commonly causes a check engine light to come on. The common codes for a bad mass airflow sensor are P0100 through P0105. A vacuum leak can also cause similar symptoms to a mass airflow sensor being bad, so just be on the lookout for vacuum leaks. The symptoms of a dirty mass airflow sensor are hesitation while driving, you have an erratic idle, your car tries to stall or it actually does stall, you have a loss of power, you have bad fuel economy, and sometimes it can be difficult starting your car. If you have any of these symptoms and you think it might be a dirty mass airflow sensor, I'm going to show you how to clean it right now. This is also a good option because a lot of people think their mass airflow sensor is bad, and in reality it's just dirty. So this could save you $150 to $600. So to try to prove that something's actually happening when we clean this, I'm going to be using this OBDII scanner to scan everything. We're going to get a before and after when the engine is cold. So we're going to get the intake temperature. Right now it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit. We're going to get a reading right now with the car off at 0.16 grams per second. We're going to get a coolant temp of 82 degrees Fahrenheit. And then while the engine's running at these temperatures, we're going to get an RPM. With all these sensors and the readings combined, we should get a good idea of whether or not cleaning the mass airflow sensor did anything for us. I know that you're probably pretty curious to see if cleaning a mass airflow sensor really does anything. I'm not having any problems with this truck. It's just been 120,000 miles. The owner before me never really took care of the truck, so the air filter wasn't changed too much. I have a feeling that the sensor could be dirty and I could be getting a little more performance out of this engine. So I'm going to get the airbox back on and we're going to start her up, and then we're going to get our initial readings before we clean the sensor. And then we'll get our readings after we clean the sensor. So we got our OBDII scanner connected, as you saw. Now I'm going to go start the car. And we're going to look at all these readings here. We're going to just let the engine run for like a minute or two, get the RPMs to drop down. And then we're going to get our temperature, how much air is flowing, and all that stuff. RPMs. Okay, it's been about 3 minutes since our engine started. We're in closed loop. Our calculated load is at about 40%. The coolant temperature is at 136 degrees Fahrenheit. Our engine RPMs are 982, so 982 RPMs, 953, so it's 950 to 1,000, in that range. Our timing advance for cylinder 1 is about 20 degrees. Our air intake temperature is about 88 degrees Fahrenheit, and right now we're pulling 5.64 grams of air per second. Obviously that's going to change a little bit, but we're going to have all these values, so this is going to be helpful. So now with all these baseline numbers, let's go clean the mass airflow sensor and see if we can get better numbers here. So again, what you're looking for is just this long intake tube that gets the cold air from your air box here, and somewhere along it is going to be this black box, and this is the mass airflow sensor, and it's actually going to have an arrow or something on it. It'll say airflow. It might even say mass airflow sensor on here somewhere. There are two common types of mass airflow sensors, a vane meter and a hot wire mass airflow sensor. Mass airflow sensors are almost used exclusively on fuel injected engines. So if your engine is fuel injected, you have a mass airflow sensor. First thing we're going to do, we're going to take off this wiring harness to our mass airflow sensor. Just push this clip down right in the middle and pull. With this disconnected, we're going to take off our airbox here. Depending on your vehicle, this might be a little bit different, but with my truck, I told you already, pull these two clips up and just lift, and this comes right out. Now we want this air box and the mass airflow sensor to come off. So in order to get this off, we're gonna have to loosen this hose clamp to get the intake hose off. This is a flathead screwdriver or a 5/16 nut driver. With this loosened, just wiggle your hose off here, and that'll come right out. Now you can see the part that we want to clean. You don't touch this. You want to clean that, and you want to clean inside there, right up in there. Any part where you see that wire that's going across. And this is a very sensitive sensor, so you want to make sure you're using mass airflow sensor cleaner only. You only use this cleaner. Let me repeat that. Do not use WD-40, do not use brake clean, do not use anything else. Use mass airflow sensor cleaner. The reason why you want to use mass airflow sensor cleaner is because it's fast drying and doesn't leave any residue. So with our mass airflow sensor cleaner ready to go, you're going to spray this a lot. You're going to spray it for like 3 to 5 seconds and spray it twice. Make sure you have this back a little bit. This is pretty strong. So you just want to have it back and hold it. Spray a lot, just like that. Then you're going to let it dry just for a couple seconds. Going to go back in there. Spray it again. You're going to have to do this when this is disconnected, no battery power going to this, and you don't want to reconnect this till it's completely dry. I'm going to touch the plastic part here just to show you how dirty the plastic is. You can actually see the plastic's really dirty. So I just flipped it around, did that side as well. Now we're going to let this dry for 10 minutes. So there's the metal wire with the resistor and everything. Those are the parts that you want to clean. Again, you don't want to touch that. You just use the spray, leave it to that. No wiping this down, nothing. The reason why your mass airflow sensor might get dirty is because you have an old filter in here that hasn't been changed in a while, or because you're using an oiled filter, such as a K&N, and those oils could coat the mass airflow sensor over time, so you want to clean it. So we've been letting this dry for 10-15 minutes, and you can see that it's completely dry. So what we're going to do is just reconnect our air box, and then I'm going to reconnect this air intake hose, tighten it back down, and then I'm going to reconnect our wiring harness, which is pretty simple, it just clicks in, just like so. Now that this is completely dry and this is all together, let's go start up the engine and see our readings. So this is done at almost the exact same time of day. It literally took 15 minutes, so everything should be around the same temperature. If you had a check engine light, you'd want to clear your check engine light now and see if it comes back up after cleaning it. If your car stalls or idles weird or whatever, you'd want to take it for a ride to make sure that it's idling correctly and all that stuff. See if cleaning the mass airflow sensor actually fixed the problem. So now our engine coolant temperature is about the same. It's 142, and we could see we're getting about 5.5 grams per second, which is again about the same what we had. The engine load is pretty much 40%, which is the same that we had before. Timing is around 20 degrees, and that's about the same. Our intake temperature is a little bit lower. I think that's because we had the engine compartment open and we had the air box off, so it probably cooled down just a little bit. That's not a big deal. The RPMs are actually a little bit lower. We're at like 930 now. Before it was like 950 to 1000. So it's definitely dropped the RPMs just a little bit. I've actually never seen it idle below 900, and you could just see it just went below 900. So that's actually really cool. The coolant temperature is rising, which means the engine is heating up. But I've never had the truck idle below 900 RPMs, and that could be because the sensor is able to pick up the smaller quantities of air coming through, whereas before it was dirty, so it might not have been able to pick up those smaller quantities of air, so then the computer just adjusted it to a little bit higher RPM. It's only 50 to 100 RPMs, but that's really good. That's definitely a change that I saw. Now you can see there's nothing drastic here. There's no crazy changes or anything. I didn't have any problems with this truck before. I'll make another video where I spray the mass airflow sensor on a truck, actually a Trailblazer. That car has problems, and it's definitely a dirty mass airflow sensor. It had an old K&N filter on there, and I looked at it, and the mass airflow sensor looks really dirty. So I'll put the link to that video in the description. Now I'm going to go drive the car for about 2 weeks, get at least one gas fill up. I'll use my normal route, so right now I'm averaging 17.5 miles a gallon. I'll see if that increases at all. Everything else will be constant. I'm not going to change anything else in this truck. So it's been about a week. I went a couple hundred miles, as you can see, and I got a new fuel economy with a whole tank of gas. I ran it dry, filled it up, and then I ran it dry again, and I just filled it up, and I recorded 18.97 miles per gallon. My average before this was 17.5. I would see 18 every once in a while. I would see 16 every once in a while, but now I'm almost at 19. I think this actually has improved my fuel economy, about a half a mile to a mile per gallon, which is for a simple job like this really good. I definitely encourage you guys to give this a shot if you think your mass airflow sensor is dirty, if you have 120,000 miles, if you have a K&N filter, if you have an air filter that hasn't been changed in a while. All of those things will make a mass airflow sensor dirty, and it's worth a shot. If this video was helpful, give it a thumbs up. Also consider subscribing. On the screen there are going to be a bunch of videos. You could click on those videos or find the link to those videos in the description below. Also in the description below are the links to the Chris Fix Facebook and Twitter pages. Check it out. I should mention one more thing. Check out the description below for updates. I'm going to put my fuel economy for the next month. I'm going to try to get like 5 tanks of gas to get 5 good numbers. And I'm going to be doing the same route for these next few weeks, so it'll be pretty accurate. And so if you're curious, I'll have the baseline of 17.5 and I'll give you all my fuel economy readings after that.